Come on. And share. Where did it go? All right, this is Witch Hat Chats, and am I still sharing my screen? I got to stop sharing my screen. How do I do that? Can you guys still hear me? Am I still sharing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I need to stop sharing the screen. How do you stop sharing the screen? And because it disappears on me. There we go. Yeah, we figured it out. Yay. Okay. So, welcome to Witch Hat Chats. It's sponsored by the Ever Moving We Rise Temple, the Life and Soul Holistic Center, and Moonlight Potions and Charms. So, I am your host, Nikki Kirby, and Pam Griffith is our co-host, and we're known as the Witchy Ones. So, Pam, what do you think about being known as the Witchy Ones?
It's a little different, I'll say. I guess it'll be something you become accustomed to, I'm sure.
Yeah, it seems like that, doesn't it? All right. Well, so Pam, we had the red tent last night, and how did you think that went?
I thought it was great. We had a nice turnout. The subjects we discussed were from one end of the spectrum to the other, which was wonderful, getting a lot of good information out there. We were extra fortunate to have someone who was able to give us a lot of information on medical marijuana, which is now becoming the big thing. And she was able to give us informed information, which is really great because we don't get a lot of that. You hear a lot, well, so-and-so said, but she really knew her stuff. And I think we talked her into maybe doing a webinar or class so that she could expand upon that, because it was interesting information. She was well presented and a lot of questions came out of it. And one of them was, back in the day during PMS times, they would drug you. That was their way of curing the problem. And this will go all the way back to the 1800s when it was women's issues, and they gave you codeine, heroin, all the really good stuff, so that you were totally non-functional at that point. But yeah, this is a way of actually helping the process, but not making us totally zombies. So we had a really good time. I am really looking forward to next month. I hope we can have more people join in with us. Again, it's 9 to midnight, and we stop at the witching hour.
Yeah, and that will be on August the 8th is when we will do that. And we also have our dark moon ritual tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All these are in Eastern Standard Time, and everybody's invited. So even maybe our guests may join in. Byron?
That's
possible. We'll see.
Let's see. Yeah.
All right. And what else do we have going on over at all of our sponsors, Nikki? Keep us up to date. What's happening?
Well, with the Life and Soul Holistic Center, we have some new spiritual services being offered. Spiritual coaching and mentoring is one of them. We also have a variety of spiritual services, such as weddings and funerals and rites of passage being offered as well. So I'm really looking forward and I'm really excited about that. We do have some new products at Moonlight Potions and Charms. One of our new products, let me see about sharing my, here we go, sharing the screen again. We're going to do sharing the screen again. Let's see here. What screen do I want to share? Oh, here we go. I'm going to share that. That one is our altar on the go. As you can see, it has several different things for that. We've included the salt, the incense. You got your little wand and your little knife and everything else that fits into a very small can. So you can just pick that up. It's got a handle and everything. You just pick it up and you're on the go. You know, if you decide to take off and you need some place to go or anything like that. And it includes its own altar cloth. So it's a really nice thing. And then also we have, where is it? We have the Damn It Cat. And the Damn It Cat, I'm really excited about him because basically with everybody, we have stress in our lives. We also have a lot of anxiety, and sometimes we can't seem to get that out properly. So when that happens, the Damn It Cat is here to help you. You just take them and you just pound them a few times until you can kind of get out your anger and everything like that. And then he always makes you feel better because you've actually done something physical and it's a positive expression of a negative emotion. So that really does a lot of good for releasing. And he's really, really cute. I mean, he's got his own little tail and everything. And then we have like for tonight, we have the Hecate candle, and with Hecate, I started to design most of the deities with no faces because each one of us, we have our own version of what the deity looks like. And so, um, thinking about that in that manner, we can be able to place our own face, on our own deities. So there's my little Hecate candle.
If you could bring those up, we don't see them.
You
We see the
don't-
altar on the go.
Okay. Oh shit. Okay. Well, wait a minute. Let me get over here. Okay, altar on the go. I thought I was bringing those up. Okay, thank you for that awareness. There we go.
Uh,
There is the Damn It Cat right there.
We're still on
Oh no, wait a
altar on the
minute, wait a minute.
go.
It's not letting me do something. Why is it? Resume share. Yeah, resume share.
Well, that cat went into hiding. We need to bring him out. He must have run off. You know how shy he is.
Hear him.
He was tired of people beating
Okay,
up on him.
yeah, I need to stop sharing, and then we're going to do the share now. Here we
Yeah,
go. We're going to bring him out. Where? Nope, it goes right back to this. Okay.
we maybe we can coax him out later on in the show with a little bit of tuna fish. We'll give that a shot.
Look at that shot. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, am I still sharing? You guys still seeing my?
Well, I'm seeing you.
Okay.
Seeing
Well,
your
I'm
face.
seeing me, but you're not seeing my desktop,
No,
right?
honey, we're not. But like I
Okay.
said, we'll bring Damon out later.
We'll do that a little bit later. But now it's really time for us to bring out our guest host. You may know this amazing lady from her regular column in Sage Woman, excuse me, Sage Witch. Sage Woman magazine. She serves her community as an activist. She's a senior Wiccan priest and co founder of the Mother Grove of the Goddess Temple and the Coalition of Earth Religions, or SEAS. And a quote from the Asheville Citizen Times has her and I quote, her land based spirituality is so rooted in the natural world that I can't tell the difference, unquote. She
Oh,
Yes, she is a successful author of 4 books, including her first book, Stubbs and Ditchwater, a friendly and useful introduction to Hillfolk hoodoo. She's made several appearances at pagan conventions, including the Pagan Spirit Gathering, Starwood, and Hex Fest. And she is a co-host on the Weird Mountain Girls podcast. So known as the Asheville's Village Witch, she is here to talk to us about Appalachian folk magic and tell us about her books. And I am proud to introduce my friend, who is my sister, and she is our guest host, Byron Ballard.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Nikki. What a beautiful introduction.
Thank you. So, Byron,
Yes.
I was going to ask you, number one, what do you think about all these masks? Because it seems like people need to be wearing them. Like right now, people need to be
Well,
wearing their mask.
I think people need to be wearing masks, and I've got a whole bunch of them right here hanging on the chair. Here's a beautiful one designed by my friend Melissa.
Oh, that is pretty.
Easy to put on, easy to wear. I don't know why this has become such a political thing, but it has. And it's just time for us to think about, do we love our community enough to protect them?
Mm-hmm.
And some people, that's just not an option for them for whatever reason. So I encourage people all the time to wear a mask or stay home. And
Yep.
I'm pleased with so many of the stores around Asheville. I mean, I don't get out much, just to be honest. I go to the grocery store, post office, bank, Walgreens occasionally. And I've been really impressed with how much people are wearing masks and how careful they're being. If you go to the post office, oh, they do a really, really good job. I'm very grateful for that because, I'm shipping out stuff all the time, as you are too with all your products. You must be at the post office pretty often. So I'm very grateful for it. I'm not so grateful to our city, which has done everything it can to open up for the tourist trade because we're a big old tourist town. And so, traffic is terrible. And none of the people visiting wear masks, hardly, which is a little
Yeah.
depressing. But I think we need to do it. Wash your hands, put on a mask. Be careful with the people in your life, even the people you don't know, because we're all related, all of us.
It's
There,
a
that was
little,
my sermon.
it's a little hard for us to not, to leave the planet to go somewhere else. So we're all in this together. We don't really have a choice.
No kidding.
I'm fortunate where I'm at in Florida. They do require masks in my town everywhere.
Oh,
You
that's
get out of
good.
your car, you better have your mask on. So they're really enforcing that, but we've opened already.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like in the state of North Carolina, they've actually said, the governor said that he wants you to wear a mask. But it seems like I can't seem to get the young people to understand that this virus, it is real. And if you're not wearing a mask, just because you don't think you have it doesn't mean you may not have it, or you may not be able to spread it to somebody else by accident, not even on purpose. And
You
people
know
don't
what?
understand.
That all might just be Darwinian. So you don't wear a mask, you kill off your relatives, and then they come back either to haunt you or they
Yes.
come back as ancestors and they are on your butt all the damn time.
Either way, they come back.
Let's just be clear. You're not going to get rid of them. If you accidentally kill your grandmother, she will be with you the rest of your life.
Yes, and in the afterworld too.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a
So,
political statement. We can all make our own statements. Nikki, you had a really cute little one on there. Byron had a beautiful one. Make it a statement.
Mhm.
yeah.
Say what you're thinking on your mind. And
Yeah.
you wear it and everybody sees it.
Well, and
So,
my friend Kate gave me one that's got a Ouija board on it. And I tell you what, I go in the grocery store and nobody says boo to me. It's like, really? You gonna mess with a woman in a headscarf with a Ouija board over her mouth? I wouldn't.
no. And see, it can also protect you that way. So I think it's a fashion statement. You can make them to match your outfits. You can have sparkles, of course. Mine's all sparkly. You can have
That's because you
anything
have a
on it.
special personality, Pam.
Yes, well, Pixie does come out in her sparkles. But I think you can make a political statement with it if you want to put the letters on it. Whatever you want to say, you can wear it on your mask, just like your T-shirt.
Yeah.
So let's all get out there, fashionistas. We need to make a lot of these masks.
Well, Pam, you've made a bunch of masks, haven't you?
I have made many, many, and mine are all gifted out for many of my friends who couldn't sew or many who were unsure of the pattern. So I've made them several, especially some. I live in an over 55 community. Some of my neighbors are not able to, so they got some really fashionista ones from me. So we're going to keep it up and we're going to just mask everybody. It's you go into a store, no shoes, no shirt, no service, no mask, no service.
Yep. Yeah.
Real simple, guys. We try not to make it difficult. But again, Darwin will greet you on the other side if you so choose not to.
I'm telling you, ancestor worship's going to be a big old thing in the next year.
Oh
no, not again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I have a question for you, Byron. In your
Yes.
book, Dobbs and Ditchwater, the friendly and useful introduction to Hillfolk's hoodoo,
Yes, ma'am.
you talk about the Hillfolk hoodoo. Exactly, for those of us who didn't grow up in Appalachia, what is it?
Well, I have been battling for years and years against phrases like "it's Appalachian granny magic." What I practice and what a lot of people in this region practice is a healing and spiritual set of technologies and processes that don't really have a name. So you can brand them, and that's what I've done by calling it Hillfolk's Hoodoo, but it's really a practice without a name. And it was people, primarily women, but not always women, who served their very rural communities in specific ways. And they were the people who doused for water. They were the people who cotched babies, who could blow the fire out of a burn, all that stuff that we set aside for the most part when we all moved into town to work in the mills. And I grew up out in the country, so I still had access to a lot of people who did those things. And my family did not, they did not condemn that because I grew up happily unchurched, which is the way we talk about people who didn't have to get baptized and go to church on Sunday. So I got to be exposed to a lot of different types of healing, and some of it was spoken word, and some of it was materials. It was herbal and otherwise materials, and so I have practiced that for a long, long time. And oh gosh, several years back, I was invited to speak at a conference, and I talked about Hillfolk's Hoodoo. And I wasn't sure I wanted to teach anybody outside the region because I know what happens outside this region when people talk about us. I know it. And it's the reason I use hill folks and not hillbilly. I don't like to use the word hillbilly except among my own people. And it's like other cultural words that the group itself may use with each other, but it may not be used by outsiders. Because when somebody from New Jersey says the word hillbilly, I know what they mean. Their subtext of that is paddle faster, I hear banjos. And that's not what Appalachia is about. So I don't use the word hillbilly, and I don't like anybody else to use it unless they're one of my people, as it were. And even then, it makes me a little uncomfortable. So I call it hill folks, and then I use the word hoodoo, and I get in trouble for this all the time with people. They go, you can't use hoodoo. That's Afro-Caribbean. You can't. You're stealing that. That's culturally appropriative. Well, I don't think it is, but I use it because me and my cousin Dina grew up together, and she used to refer to the magic in our families as that hoodoo that we do. So that's when it became Hillfolk's Hoodoo. And I've written now 3 books about it. The third one is coming out from Llewellyn in February, and it's called Roots, Branches, and Spirits, the Folkways and Witchery of Appalachia. So I've written 3 books about it, and come to find out after my first book tour, people still do this. I thought it was a dying art. They still do it. They just don't hang out a shingle on Facebook saying, "Hey, guess what? I practice granny magic." They just do it quietly for their communities and their families. So it is a living, growing tradition. Nikki, you laughing at me. It's a living, growing tradition, and it is based firmly in Protestant Christianity. It is, absolutely. Now, I don't practice Christianity, Protestant or otherwise, and all the stuff that folks will tell you has to be done with the Bible don't. But it is traditional that that's where it came from. Primary references are in Protestant Christianity. Have I talked enough? You want me to slow down so you can ask a question?
Well, Byron, you remember when you and me first met?
Yeah. Pantheacon in
Yeah.
California.
It had to be in San Jose too.
Yep.
And it's like, I had to come all the way to California to meet somebody who just lives literally an hour and 15 minutes up the
I
road.
know. I just live up the hill from you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And you know what? That day was one of the best days of my life, and I'm going to tell you why. I was feeling so out of place in California because California, they're kind of completely different culture in a lot of ways. And when I found out that somebody who is from North Carolina, who's literally up the street from me, is going to be teaching a class in Pantheacon, somebody who I never heard of, I thought, heck yeah, I need to go meet this girl. I need to go meet this woman. And I remember you talking about the Marshmallow Hex. You mentioned about that.
That is the best hex. I'm telling you, that works like a charm. You want me to tell you about it?
Sure.
Well, it has a backstory that I won't go into, but I developed this hex where if you want to take away somebody's power and authority, you take a marshmallow, the bigger the better. They got those great big ones now, like that big. Take a marshmallow and write the person's name all over it. And with pencil, by the way, pencil's easier. If you use a felt tip pen, it'll ruin your pen. And you stick it with, I like to use those big old thorns from the black locust tree, but you can use toothpicks. So you prick that outside kind of skin on the marshmallow, and then you put it outside and you let the weather and the ants and whatever else take it away bit by bit by bit. Now, this is my disclaimer about that. Put that up in the crotch of the bough of a tree, but someplace where your dog can't get it or your young ones can't get it. And I've seen a squirrel eat all around the toothpicks, so it won't hurt them, but put it up in a tree. And especially in hot summertime, you will see the object of that hex get smaller and smaller and smaller, and sometimes literally smaller and smaller. And it's like you're seeing them in the rear view mirror as you go away.
That is awesome. That is really awesome.
I'm telling you, it works great.
Now, being from Appalachia myself, a lot of times we did what we did because that's what we did. We weren't given a reason, and you did it because it worked.
Yep.
I moved to Baltimore, Maryland, with my Appalachia accent and ways, and soon found out that in the big city, you were not considered very friendly by doing some of your little Appalachia things. What parts, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
I'm being nice. I returned there. I was just there. I was in Appalachia last month to visit my relatives. I'm from a coal mining town in West Virginia. So I read your book and I'm wondering, where in Appalachia do you do a lot of your research? Is it in just your area or do you visit other areas?
Oh, I visit lots of other areas. In fact, I had a wonderful kind of field adventure up to Rainelle. Do you know Rainelle, West Virginia? I have some good friends up in that area, and they set it all up for me, and that I was going to come and talk about what, this kind of healing and stuff. And I was really looking forward to just having an excuse to sit around with a bunch of primarily women and just compare notes. That's been the best part of it, is sitting down with other people who do it and comparing notes. And so we get there to Raynell, and half the people who had said they were going to come, you know what they got in Raynell, West Virginia? They got the Google. And we were really careful not to use the word witch. But all you have to do is Google my name, and a whole lot of that stuff's going to come up. So about half the people didn't show up.
Oh,
And then I started unpacking mason jars full of stuff for us to talk about and share. And these women who were there started calling their friends saying, "Now, Barbara, get over here, because this is exactly the stuff your grandma did." No, I mean, get over here. So about half again of the ones who didn't show up initially came wandering in, because it feels familiar, And so things can vary. I mean, literally, they can vary from cove to cove, because most of that stuff is passed down through families. So my family was in this one particular cove, and the next cove over was also a different branch of that family. So all of that was pretty similar, but I can go into the next county and it's going to be a little bit different.
yeah.
But as I say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So just like you said, if it works, people will continue to do it. And they'll do it just the way their mama did, or their grandma, or their great uncle, or whatever, because they know that that thing's going to work.
I've noticed in a lot of newer witches books, they cite things that we knew back in the day when we were little, because grandma showed us, and you read it and you go, wait a minute, that's been around forever. How are you claiming that's new?
Oh, I know. Bless their little hearts, though. They'll come up with, "Oh, did you know?" And you go, "Yeah, I've known that since about 1967. But yeah, I'm glad you found it. You never would have listened to me saying it because I look too much like your damn mama. But, if you can come up with it for yourself, or if somebody that you figure is a big name pagan says this a brand new thing, then you just glom onto it and do it." But, people ask me all the time, how can I say I'm a witch? How do people say they're a witch? Well, here's the thing about witches. You have to practice witchcraft. That is the bottom line. If you don't practice witchcraft, you ain't a witch. Period. And I talk to so many people. I teach a class, Lord of mercy. I teach a class called Simple Practical Magic. And I do that for two reasons. I do it for all of those people, those especially young or new witches who they think they've got to do some big ceremonial thing in order to get a result. And so Simple Practical Magic is that. It is folk magic, very easy, good, simple, easy results. I teach that class for new people, but I also teach it for all those people who think they know magic, but they never practice it because it feels too complicated.
Mhm.
And you all know those people. Nikki's
yeah.
nodding. We all
I
know those
remember.
people.
I
And
remember in the class, you were raising so much Cain about this, because there would be people to turn around and say, "Well, I'm a witch, but we only practice at night," or "We only practice during the dark moon." And you're like, "Oh, no, 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 no. You practice every single day. As a matter of fact, I do parking spells." I remember that.
no, well, in that class, I tell people, instead of, reading in some fake grimoire about how to conjure a demon, which you don't damn need, how about you figure out what you need? So if you got to go downtown in Asheville, North Carolina, you're going to need a parking spell. So just go ahead and figure out one that works. There's plenty of them that work real well. Figure out one that works and use it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that I find again and again with people. They feel like they have to save magic for a special occasion, like your good panties. I'm going to save those for that special occasion. Well, what is the point of that? The only way you become adept at something, you become an expert at it and really good at it, is if you practice it, whether it's playing the fiddle or cooking cornbread or practicing magic. If you don't practice it, you will not be adept. And right now, frankly, with the world the way it is, we need all the magic workers we can get. And not just people who wear black from head to toe and they got a big old necklace of bones and, you know, a lot of black eyeliner on. You got to have people that are actually down and dirty doing the work. And this is, I'm not taking anything away from ceremonial magic because I know it is a beautiful, beautiful craft. And I, I volunteered to do a piece in a book called Women's Voices in Magic. And the editor contacted me and she said, "Oh, we'd love that. We don't have any essays on low magic." And I was like, "Oh, low magic. You mean the kind of magic that works magic? That magic? Yeah, okay." Well, since then, I've gotten a little less hoity-toity about it. But Jason Miller, some of y'all know him and his work. Jason Miller has a wonderful way to describe this. He calls it temple magic versus field magic. And I used to refer to what I do as MacGyver magic. And I was really glad when that TV show came back on because I would say that sometimes at festivals that I do MacGyver magic. And they go, "Oh, is that like a traditional Scottish thing that you do?" And it's like, no, it was a TV show where you stick your hand in your pocket and you got some lint and a piece of dental floss and I don't know, whatever. And that's how you do the magic. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, when you do magic, you don't have to have a candle. You don't have to have a wand. You
Here's
don't
your tools. Here's
yeah,
your tools.
it's this way, you know. And
Yeah.
the one thing I love about your books is they're so easy to read because it's like sitting down and having a conversation with you.
Everybody says that.
That's the way it's like because I remember I bought your books at PantheaCon. You only had 2 out at the time, I think, or was that 1? No.
Three. I had 3 out, I think, the last time I was at PantheaCon.
Well, I wasn't there the last time because I was here, you know. So
That's right. That's right.
yeah. So the other 2 times you were, but each time I had bought your books and I read them, and I really, really, really enjoy them because I enjoy the writing. You're talking to people as if they're people. You're not talking to them like you're the high person here and you know everything. You're talking to them like they're regular folks, and I really do, enjoy that. And then getting to know you, that's so much fun, especially when we start drinking. It's even it's even better. So I remember, let's see, the last book that I purchased your last 2 books, and one of them I read was the Earthworks.
Earthworks. Yeah.
Yes.
That's my most recent book.
Yeah. So when you were writing that, what was the inspiration for that book?
Oh, golly. For many years now, I've had this premonition vision about what I've been calling tower time. And y'all may have heard of that from other people, but I originated the phrase because I've been reading cards for 50 plus years. Pam, when we were talking about how long we've been practicing witchcraft, I was just like, yeah, half a century, at least half a century. And so I had this vision, it was a waking vision, that all these top down hierarchical systems that we've lived with for thousands of years, that we are in the nexus of time when they are collapsing. And it is incumbent on us to recognize that this is an opportunity and it's a chance for us to go in and correct things that should have been corrected thousands of years ago. So it's based on, of course, the tarot card of the tower and of the collapse that occurs when that happens. And we've seen it happen historically again and again and again. But we are lucky with the hindsight that we have about history to know that when the fall of the Roman Empire happens now, as it is happening, that there are things we can do. So that's what this book is about. And I taught it, I preached about it, I've been beating the drum of tower time. We got to get ready for years. This book came out in 2018 in the late summer. And then all of this hit in 2020. So people have been saying, wow, you really did, you knew what was going on. How did you know that? Well, a lot of people knew it. A lot of people knew it, and a whole lot of people didn't listen. So now here we are, and we're not prepared. And we could have had more influence than we're having now if we had been prepared for the collapse of systems. But we are seeing systems collapsing, every top-down system, government, education, healthcare, religion, they are all collapsing. Now, some of them, most of them, are recalibrating as they collapse, but make no mistake, they are collapsing. And if we are ready, and it's what I call circles on the ground, if we are ready, we can come into these systems and we can set up alternative systems that are what we need, that are fair, that are egalitarian, that honor the earth, and that honor our fellow beings, regardless of whether human or otherwise. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now. But that's what it's about. And the beginning of it is all about essays about that collapse. And the last part is all rituals and ceremonies of things that we can actually do to create rites of passage as we go through these difficult things.
Wow, that gives you a lot to think about. It really does. Okay, it's time for our song. And as many of you are aware, of course, with the coronavirus epidemic, pagan musicians and groups depend on live performances and record sales to make a living. Unfortunately, right now, many of them are not doing so well because they cannot get out because everything is being canceled. So each week, Nikki and I select a song from a pagan musician or a band and display their music video or the song. And this week, we are really super proud to introduce, the music is called Zen on the Beach. It's by ELN, who not only writes and does the music, she produces some of her own music. So we're all going to sit back and have a nice little video. Nikki?
And we are back. So welcome back to Wit Chat Chats, sponsored by the ever-moving We Rise Wit and Shrine and the Life and Soul Holistic Center and Moonlight Potions and Charms. So before we begin, I am the little Dammit cat. He came out. He's going to play with us.
Yay!
Yay! Is everybody excited to go see the Dammit cat?
All right. Finally, we got him out. Come on.
Yes.
Bring him
So
on.
here's our Dammit cat that I am sharing right now. He is very, very cute. Like I said, he helps you with your stress and your anxiety. And just grab him and just start smacking him down. Damn it, cat, damn it, cat, damn it, cat is what you keep saying, you know. And then he'll come back and he'll love right back on you. So isn't that cute? So anyway, we are with Byron Ballard, and she is going to be doing a reading for us from one of her books that is called Earthworks, Ceremonies in Tower Time.
Is it backwards?
Nope, looks good.
Good.
No, looks great.
You ready?
Yep, we're ready.
I'm going to read y'all a little bit from chapter 1, Going to Ground, Love in the Time of Towers. I don't remember precisely when it all began, this quiet knowing that has grown for me into a certainty. It began with a pinch of insight, a glint of what was happening globally, reflected in local events. It was more than a lack of harmony, of simple, chaotic modern life. This feeling hinted at larger activity, a shift in the zeitgeist, a disturbance in the force. At Sacred Space Conference 2017, I arrived within a half hour of the first talk I was scheduled to give. The people's craft, folk magic, and its peasant roots was supposed to be a rousing exploration of some of the commonality of folk magic across different cultures and the fascination with those practices among modern pagans. It turned into a sermon focused on resilience and the power of revolution. It became a plea for pagans to see clearly what must be done for our biosphere and our species. Pacing the large room, wearing the same battered jeans I'd traveled in for 9 hours from North Carolina, I preached as my Methodist forebears did. I invited the attendees to consider peasant life. I brandished a pitchfork. Tower time. It has become my mantra as well as my ongoing vision and occasional nightmare. It has been in front of me for a decade or more since the day I sat on a friend's sunny porch drinking wine and comparing our notes. That seems like a faraway dream now, a kinder time, a time less fraught and more hopeful. In brief, I have come to know through unverifiable personal gnosis, dreams, visions, ponderings, discussions with colleagues, that we are living in the times when the top-down and toxic systems that some of us call patriarchy are in the process of collapse again. Because I am a lifelong tarot reader, the image that returns to my mind again and again is the tower, sweet number 16. The clear knowing that I felt has grown more insistent in the intervening years. It is this: we are living in times when these massive, ancient, and toxic systems that have both created civilization as we know it and doomed it are crashing under their own weight of history and grief. It is the death throes of patriarchy that we are experiencing, and it will die as it has lived, in violence and oppression and injustice and death. Madness. Friends and co-religionists opine that I have been seduced by cyclical end of days hysteria, that I'm guilty of buying into the ever increasing wall of apocalypse noise from conservative Christians, or that I'm cleverly fear mongering for control of my social media followers. Ah, I've heard it all. But I've also heard concurring murmurings from colleagues as far afield as New Zealand. This feeling, this strange knowing, is visiting others of my kind. We are, as the Cheshire cat purred, all mad here. It is concerning, confusing, and rather exciting. Fast forward to the recent unpleasantness of the 2016 election cycle and the subsequent fear and lethargy that have beset so many of my friends and colleagues, my congregation, my neighbors. Interfaith groups gather in ragged circles, loathing the news, weeping for the future. Social media is rife with hand-wringing and angst. Systems failing, toppling institutions, grappling with their own demises, recalibrating as they fall, as they morph into new systems, ones that serve different masters. The visions of Tower Time have never been solely about the collapse, which I want to stress early on and to return to throughout the first part of this book. This is not a gloom and doom scenario. I invite you to explore the next steps, the best step. As the tower falls, it is incumbent on all of us who can act to create what I've been calling circles on the ground, active and well thought out alternatives to what we've come to know. Alternatives that work where you are, that include everyone, that take planet and people into consideration. We have been trained to abhor vacuums, we humans, and power vacuums most of all. The easiest thing to do is to insert a new kind of savior, the perfect strong man to see us through. It's a very old pattern, a pattern I'd like to see broken once and for all. Hierarchy is such an efficient system and easily reinstalled. It will take foresight and planning to not reinstate the very systems we want to change. We will have to look beyond jargon and comforting platitudes, the newspeak that has become a permanent part of every news cycle at every news outlet. And it will take weaving new connections and possibly redefining who and what our tribe is. That is uncomfortable work, the sort of work that leads us to consider our own personal ethics and our priorities, as well as our own mortality and limitations. And I'm going to stop there in case you have any questions.
Oh, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Byron, for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this was, I want to add, this was 2 years before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
This was before we've seen the worst of what's happening with the current administration.
Oh,
This
yeah.
was before the death that sparked the Black Lives Matter movement revival. It was before all of that. So those are our niches. Those are the holes. Those are the places we can go into, and we can transform the world if we'll do it.
Yeah. The thing about us people that we do magical work is, and I've told people this, number one, you can change things in your life. That's the whole point of magic. Okay. There's things that you can change. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your magic, because I have heard so many people tell me, oh, I practice magic, but I don't believe in it. I don't believe in my magic. I'm like, what? Like, excuse me? You're sitting here, and then they wonder why it doesn't, manifest. Or either I tell them, I said, when you do something, you need to just do it and ensure to yourself, yes, it's done properly, and then let it go. Don't sit here and think, oh my God, is it in the next hour, is it going to come around? Is it going to come around? Because this ain't Hollywood. Okay, it's not going to be charmed and it goes sparks goes everywhere and suddenly you have, whatever it is you want. We actually have to work for it. That's what spells are for. It's not something you go, hey, let's blow out a candle and maybe I'll get that $100 I really need for my rent. And then just sit there and do nothing, you know. So I really did enjoy that book. Actually, I'm still reading that book because for some reason with that book you went into a lot more detail and it's not like your other books that I've read where it's just a casual conversation. It's just really really into detail and I still love it. I still absolutely love it. So you have a podcast called the Weird Mountain Gals. So tell us
We
about
do, we do.
because
And
it
y'all,
is
y'all,
weird
you,
when you're actually listening to it. Because I listened to it the other day. I finally got a chance to listen to it. That was on my list, and I listened to it the other day, and I'm like, yeah, this just sounds like we're sitting down with me and Byron just sitting down having tea, like we always have, and we're just having this little chit chat, back and forth. So tell us about that, hon.
well, we are having so much fun with that. Um, my friend Alicia and I, we sing together sometimes, and we are both Western North Carolina girls. And we wanted something. There's a wonderful bluegrass group called the Clinch Mountain Boys. So we wanted something that would sound like a bluegrass group. So then we came up with the Weird Mountain Gals, like we could be this kind of bluegrass group. And we keep threatening to do an album, and one day we will. I promise you, we will get to it. But we wanted to do a podcast where we talk about Appalachian folkways, but we also we want to bring them into the future and not think about them as this kind of frozen in time foxfire thing that doesn't occur anymore. And so if you tune into the podcast, and you can find links to it on our Facebook page, which is Weird WYRD, Weird Mountain Gals. We come out about once a week and we talk about just different things. This last one is about the Sears catalog and outhouses. And it all is based on our personal experience. But we also, we talk about politics and tourists. We talk about all of it. And at some point, when the Rona loses her grip on the country, we're gonna make a little road trip. We're gonna go to all those places like Rock City. We're going to go out to Cherokee. We're going to go to all those Dollywood, all those places. It'll be fun. But it's a fun thing, and we have a couple of little products. We've got a calendar like the kind you used to get in the feed seed store. We got one of those that we sell through Asheville Raven and Crone, which is our local beautiful witch store, and we're creating some magical oils too. So keep a lookout. You get you an apron, you can get you a calendar. Lord knows, we're Mountain Gals. We're here. We're here. We know no fear.
Hey, why don't you guys do moonshine and then I'll be interested.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that on an open channel, my dear. But we could talk about that privately if you would like.
Think she's calling your bluff, Nikki.
I'm sure she does.
Well, all I can say is that I laid in a supply of a gallon of locally produced alcohol for tincturing this year. So there you go.
Oh, yes. It's funny, your books are tied together, and I don't know if that was intent or not, but you have one, We Are Now in the Tower, We Are Coming Down. But your book, Embracing Willendorf, Witch's Way of Loving Your Body to Health and Fitness, I think that this book is just as important because now we are having all of the stress and everything that's going on in our society is like the tower, we're crumbling.
Yeah.
And I think we need to call upon women more to start taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely.
So I have to ask, did you plan these books together or did that just,
No,
God is leading you?
it's the progression of my life. I wish I could say, oh yeah, there was a grand plan. I knew after I did the first folk magic book and took it out on the road that there was more I needed to write about that. So that made sense. The Willendorf book actually was the first book I'd ever written to completion, and that was much earlier. In 2002, I lost 80 pounds, and I did it by loving my body and listening to it. Because diets never work. In fact, they do the opposite of what we think they're going to do. And so I started doing workshops about loving your body. And it's, I'll be honest, it's primarily women and gay men. And they're the people who I think have been so broken about their physicality over the years. And the book is primarily aimed towards women, and I apologize for that now. I'd love to have the time to go back and rewrite it so it's a little more inclusive. But it's basically about loving your body and loving all the parts that you've been taught by the culture or by your family or whoever that you can't love, like loving your big old powerful thighs or your big feet. Or, I mean, right now, my problem is this thing right here, because I lost all that weight. So I've got a lot of loose skin and I've got these kind of wings when I'm sleeveless. And I'm learning to love those, but that's been the tough part. And it's all about once you love it, you'll start listening to it and you give it what it needs. And that's what the book is about. People joked when it first came out and they said, "Oh God, is this like witches, Weight Watchers? Because I just can't." I was like, no, it's about this is a machine that requires certain things. And if you give it what it requires, you'll be rewarded with health. And if your health is good, I don't care how much you weigh, if your health is good and you've got energy, you can do the work that is your heart's work to do.
Hmm. I mean, that's one of the reasons why the Ever Moving We Rise Temple, we started our red tents, was to, teach women how to enjoy themselves, enjoy their bodies, and how to take care of themselves, basically, because we're taught as women that we need to take care of everybody else, and we are always last on the burner. However, the thing about it is, here's what the rub is being last on the burner. Who's going to take care of you? If you don't have the energy to take care of you, how can you have the energy to take care of your children, your parents, everything else that you need to get done?
You can't
So,
drink, you can't dip from an empty well.
right. And so, I think that's one of the very hard things, especially with being a female. And I remember years ago when I was going for my psychological degree, my psychology degree, I wrote a paper called "You Want a Piece of Me," and I took that lyric from Byron, not Byron. Shit, I'm just looking at you and I'm thinking about you, honey. Britney Spears, because that song had come out when I was writing that paper, and it was talking about how the media shows women, and how with women, if you are in the United States, if you're not a size 4, you're considered to be overweight.
Or
And in
obese.
the UK, yeah, and in the UK, it's a size 2. And then, I went into details about how the Barbie doll, a lot of people want you to go and be a Barbie doll. Well, Barbie doll is really impossible to be. She's impossible to become. We women, we all come in all different shapes and sizes and everything like that. So it's really important. I really did like that book.
Well, and the reality of any of that is that we can never achieve the cultural standard physically. So I lost a whole bunch of weight, and then everybody wanted me to get my teeth fixed and to wear contact lenses and to do something about my damn stringy hair. And it's like, so you can't just do one thing because the culture will come down on you. And the reality is, it's none of the culture's business. And the
Hmm.
sooner women can come to the place where they go, if you don't like my body, you don't get access to this. It is a hell of a thing to get access to.
Hmm.
So it is important for us, especially as women. But to go back to what you were saying about taking care of ourselves, when you fly in an airplane, the attendant will tell you there's the bathrooms, and if we lose pressure in the cabin, this mask is going to fall, and you are to put your mask on first and then take care of anybody you're traveling with. So if you're traveling with children or elders, you put your mask on first. everybody I know would go, oh no, my baby gets the mask first and then grandma gets the mask because I can function with a little bit of brain damage. And that's how we've lived for centuries. But I am telling every woman I know, put on your damn mask. And I mean that now, literally as well as figuratively. So just put your mask on because you can't help if you are empty. And we see it happen again and again, especially in tight knit communities, in the magical communities. We see people that suddenly get named big name pagans. Everybody's listening to everything they say. And 8 months later, they have withdrawn from society and they're writing trash novels because they just can't keep up with the demand on their energy and time because they didn't put their mask on.
And I know in these frightening times that we're having right now, I think it's more critical for a woman to take care of herself because let's face it, she's hearth and home. And if she goes down, the rest of the family goes right with her. I see that a lot now where the child care now that if you're working from home and you have a child, you're trying to, you know, those lovely little kids do make those little screenshots every once in a while you're on the phone. But it just seems that we're not thinking about that. We're thinking about, well, we've got to get this project done. We've got to get that done. And then we've got to take care of the kid. And then we've got to do this. But then it's, where is our time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think we need to learn a little selfishness and be a little selfish and take that me time.
Sacred selfishness.
Yes. I really think that should become a thing.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
we do that because I don't see it happening. And now with everything falling apart, and everybody getting laid off and, you know, unemployment and now it's not a trickle down, it's an explosion down where everything is happening. And here, honestly, mostly women are the ones that are picking up the pieces.
And that's probably been true culturally for a long, long time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, with me, I've got two businesses. I have a temple, I'm running this, and I'm also taking care of my mother as well. So I have to even stop myself and take care of myself for, you know, whatever the amount of time is. And that's really hard a lot of times because I hear the old saying, you know, you're selfish because you're taking care of your needs over somebody else's. And usually the people that are telling me that, they're the selfish ones. 9 times out of 10.
Or
They're
they're the ones that want something from you.
mhm.
You're being selfish because they want a piece of you.
Mhm. Like I said, do you want a piece of me?
Yeah, exactly.
Now you've written a few books now and they're pretty awesome. Somebody, I've heard it said before, and I've started writing a book a dozen times and it just sits there, I know. But writing a book is a labor of love. How much?
Yeah, you're certainly not going to get rich writing books. Well, maybe some people do, but I am unlikely writing nonfiction about folkways. I'm unlikely to ever get rich doing that. But I think at heart, I'm really a teacher. And if you write a book about that thing you talk about all the time, then that's one more person that you can hand that information to. Um, and and it's stuff people can take away with them. So I teach, I mean, it's so funny to think about having been home all these months because my schedule this year was going to be a killer schedule. It was going to be like 18 or 19 conferences, festivals, and then some pagan pride days thrown in. And I would have been on the road almost every weekend, all from spring until November. But because everything got canceled because of, of Rona, um, I've gotten the opportunity to be home and write and garden and do that kind of self care that I didn't do at all last year. And it's important for all of us to find the thing we love and do it however we can, and to do the work that I call that is your heart's work. And sometimes that is being a bank teller. Sometimes the thing you love is making sure that people who are on the margins get the kind of home loan that other people would get. Sometimes that is your heart work. Sometimes your heart work is growing the most beautiful roses, or figuring out a way to heal the sick. But this is the opportunity now for all of us to figure out what our heart's work is and to do it in whatever ways we can. Did you hear the thunder? We've got a storm coming in here.
Yeah, the thing about it is I was talking to Lori, who has another temple up above me, and she said it was really raining there yesterday. And she's like, "Did you receive the rain?" I said, "You know what?" I said, "Here." I said it sprinkled. There was no real rain, so I had to go out and water my plants, and I was kind of ticked off because I had to go out and water my plants when it's supposed to rain. You know?
I did a little bit of watering this morning when I was out picking beans, but I'm hoping we'll have a good soaking so I don't have to water tomorrow. I'm ready
We're
to
in,
start doing my fall planting.
we're in monsoon season here in Florida.
Oh.
So that means every day we get a nice thunder boomer come through and it just torrential downpours like it does in Florida. So we've gotten a lot of water. We got hit yesterday at the beach. So that was lots of
Oh.
fun. I know, but you're wet in the water anyway, so it wasn't so bad.
Well, see, here's the thing about it. I'm not complaining anymore because I used to live in California.
Right.
And in California, it only rained during December, January, and February.
Right, yeah.
But see, here's the thing about the rain. They would say it was raining cats and dogs outside. And I would go outside and I'm like, this is mist. This ain't rain.
Huh.
And they're like, oh my God, it's raining cats and dogs. And I remember being on the phone with my mom as I was driving because I was a vendor at the time. And I would be driving to different types of stores throughout Northern California. And I remember it raining. Well, not raining, but I mean, it'd be, mist. And I'd be saying, it's only mist. You can go through it. It's okay. And my mom's like, why are you saying that? I said, because people in California, what they do is they stop when they feel this wet stuff and they look up and they're like, what is this? Where's this coming from? And I mean, they literally stop on the road for nothing. Nothing. And so it's like, okay, I know you're not used to rain. It is wet. We can drive through it. You don't want to sit here and go Speedy Gonzales through the stuff. Now, no, you don't want to do that. But it's okay to drive through this, and you don't have to get out of your car and wonder what's this stuff in the sky. You don't have to wonder that. So, I told my mom, I said, I'm not even complaining about the rain anymore. I'm just glad that we have it. Sometimes we do get too much of it, but that's just something that I'm kind of glad for now, because with rain here, it cools everything so much down, and it's
Oh
so
yeah.
hot here. And I know it's really hot in Florida because she's closer to the equator than I am, and she has worse flashes than I do.
Oh, yeah. It's right now it's like 95 outside.
Ooh.
And we had rain this morning, so it's all misty now, so it's all high humidity. My hair used to be down to my waist. When I moved here, they took an 18-inch hank off of my head. I sent it to Locks of Love because I'm not using it anymore. It was just too much to handle here. So I'm on like almost no hair at all. I moved here for my health. One of the things I did finally do selfishly. I have lupus. I was living in Baltimore and the cold does not mix with that. I can honestly say here, I've not missed a day of work with my lupus because I'm in the sunshine. So that was pretty awesome. But that was a selfish move. And everybody was like, well, why are you leaving your kids? My kids are grown. They done grown up. I kicked them out. I wanted empty nest syndrome so bad. I prayed for it. When I finally got it, I kicked them all out and I'm like, I'm done with y'all. They are fully functional on their own. And the grandchildren started having babies. They're fully functional on their own. So I said, it's time for this witch to go and do for her. And I really caught a lot of flack from certain family members that I was being selfish. And I'm like, no, I can be around a whole lot longer if I take care of me.
Mhm.
And up north, I couldn't take care of me. So I get now that I need to be selfish. I did too many things up there, pushed my health, physical and mental, because your hearth and home, you're the everything, then it takes its toll. And when it takes its toll, you can no longer do it anymore. So it's a real shame, but women, unfortunately, men don't go through this. I had an opportunity at a job where I would travel during the week and come home on the weekends. Excellent job, great benefits, great pay. But mommy can't travel Monday through Friday, but daddy can.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I was, like, yeah, right, that's going to work out well. We women are just pulled apart in too many directions. We can no longer be at home and running the household. We need to work. Unfortunately, many of us are single moms, or you have to work because you're just not making that kind of money. It's not living above your means, it's just making your means.
Right. I was really blessed. My husband had a good job, worked for the city, and because of that, I could have a part-time job. But I had the kind of job, I worked in a bookstore where if there was no school that day, then she just came with me. And we would build her a fort out of boxes of books that hadn't been unpacked. And she would have snacks, and everything it was just as good as it could be. I don't know what we would have done with this virus back in the day. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my
Because like
late husband.
you, mine's grown up. She lives far from here.
Yeah, my late husband also worked for the city, but he unfortunately passed prior to retirement, and I had to work.
Yeah.
So it's eye-opening for women. I think you hit a certain age and you think that you're set. The kids were out of the house, we were set. It was the two of us, and then I had to bury him.
Oh,
So
honey.
it was difficult, but it also made me, I guess, a little stronger again. I'm always been an alpha female, so I can never say I was ever a weak child. No one could ever say I wasn't an alpha. But it does make you stop and think. Self-care now, I'm on my own, is extremely important. There is no one to come and bring me a bowl of chicken noodle soup.
Mhm.
So I'm very much, when I read your Willendorf, it resonated with me, because it's like, yes, we need to do this. This is extremely important now, and we need to preach it to those young girls that you think you've got immortality. It doesn't work that way. And these young girls are, I know, and I'm saying young, I'm saying women in their 20s and 30s and 40s that are working 2 jobs and trying to make that American dream come true. And I'm going to look at them at 50 when I'm burying them.
Mhm.
So your Willendorf book was really, it was a confirmation of what I know, but it was somebody else saying, look, listen, pick up that book, read it, find out why. And it was a confirmation of, yes, I know all this stuff. My goodness, I'm not
Yes.
silly. But to have another woman say to you, you need to wake up, is a wake-up call.
It's funny about that book because it's kind of a sleeper success. The other books sell more copies all the time, more copies, but that book changes people's lives. And that is extraordinary to me. But I've had so many people contact me and say, I read the Embracing Willendorf book, and this is what I did for me.
Hmm.
And it changed my life. And a writer and a teacher can't ask for more than that.
Yep. Yep. I mean, they can't. And, speaking of traveling, I heard that you went to, what was it, Ireland a few years ago?
Oh yeah, I've been there several times. I try to go to the British Isles or Ireland every other year. I was supposed to go this year, but alas.
So, you were going for research, or you just go because it's pleasure or a
Well, both obviously. But I've been doing spell catching. You know, the song catchers from the last century, they
uh
came into Appalachia and they discovered that a lot of the Appalachian ballads were really old English folk songs and Scottish and Irish folk songs. So I've been doing the same thing with folk magic and tracking it back to its roots. So I've been doing a lot of work in the borderlands between Scotland and England, in Ireland, and then I go to Cornwall for pleasure because I love Cornwall. I love to travel, which is one reason it's not a hardship to have the kind of travel schedule I usually have, because
Mhm.
I like to go. I'm like a big dog. I just like to go.
So, do you have any last comments for us or anything like that?
I do. I want to say this to everybody that's watching. It is easy to be afraid right now and to kind of withdraw our energy into ourselves and to fret and worry and be anxious because, frankly, the world is chaos right now. But I really believe, I firmly believe, that these are the times we were made for, that we're here now for a reason, because we are the ones who can use these opportunities that are presented to us. So when I sign copies of Earthworks, I sign it, fear not, behold.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Byron.
Thank you all for having me. It's been a pleasure.
You've been wonderful. And you know what? As soon as this virus lifts and everything, you may need to get together and have a little cup of tea.
Uh
We
huh.
love tea.
Tea,
Yeah,
tea. Yes.
tea, tea. It may
Well,
not.
thank you all for having me on. I really appreciate it. Pam, it was wonderful to meet
It
you.
was wonderful to meet another Hill sister.
That's right, the Hillfolks.
So thank you so much, Byron. You continue to make a difference in your life and others.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Bye. And so right now I'm going to go ahead and was able to get the Hecate candle to come up. So there she is, the Hecate candle. As I was saying, when I'm starting to design deities now, most of them, because we do have different views on who our deities look like, I'm just going to do it like this. And that way you can be able to put your own little face on there and everything like that. So that is the Hecate candle. And I just put in a little bit of a sense of humor with Hecate because she does have a sense of humor by putting in the little dotty dog over there. And so now it is time for our witches cabinet. So Pam, what is in store for our witches cabinet today?
Well, you were all talking about having tea so much that it just brought out the tea in me. We were talking about self-help and self-love, and I really loved the book that Byron wrote on the Willendorf because it is something we need to do. Now, with all of this corona going on, everybody is super, super stressed. The actual art of just making the tea can help reduce your anxiety, believe it or not. Everybody knows chamomile and lavender is great for relieving stress. But did you know that peppermint tea is also a great stress reliever? I have a little peppermint tea here. I have my tea bag in here. And I crushed or bruised a few leaves of mint to put in here. Now, this is not a tea I recommend for drinking before bed, because the peppermint and any kind of mint is going to give you a little extra energy. This is a great mid-afternoon tea if you're at work or if you're at home and you just need a little pick-me-up. You just let it steep a little bit, and then we make this wonderful, I use lots of honey, so I have my honey in there, and you just pour it out. I use a green tea, and I'll explain why, because green tea is already full of antioxidants and all of that good stuff. So I prefer green tea, but you can also use a valerian root. And believe it or not, valerian has actually been called nature's Valium, and it's an excellent root to use. Lemon balm, if you like a lemon tea, is wonderful. We know the lavender, and if you're using the base of a green tea, now see, she sent her thunder down here. I am now experiencing thunder here. So, Nikki, if we cut out, I'm sorry. Rose hips. If you have a rose bush out there, please save those petals and the hips. You can do so much with them. The petals are edible, and the rose hips make a wonderful, relaxing tea. It's loaded with vitamin C, believe it or not. So it gives you a little bit of vitamin C there. And lastly, a passion flower tea. That was used by the Incas and the Aztecs and the South American Indians. And it's a great source of alkaloids, and it also helps to reduce your stress chemicals, and it'll leave you feeling great. It is also great for sleep. So, and it helps relieve inflammation. Many times the reason you can't sleep at night, you're not listening to your body. As Byron told us, you have to listen, and you may have some inflammation going on. So what my recommendation is, I'm using the mint tea because I still have, it's only 2:30 here Eastern Standard Time. I still have the rest of the day to get ready for work tomorrow. So enjoy your tea anytime and make it stress-free. Back to you, Nikki.
Thank you, Pam. That was awesome. Yeah, another great thing about mint tea is it helps clarify things for you too, because it kind of helps clear the mind as well. So that's another reason why I would use the mint tea. But that was awesome. Thank you.
Tea bags.
See, I got my little teacup. See, I got my teacup.
Yeah, wrong kind of tea.
But it
I believe that's called mountain
teacup.
tea.
Okay.
Mountain tea, honey. Don't think that's kind we're gonna sell.
Well, actually, there's passion. It's called passion tea, is what it's called.
Mm.
So I drink that every single time before we start here.
Other thing with mint is if you have stomach issues, this is going to help. If
Mhm.
you have IBS, irritable, any kind of digestive issues, a little mint tea will go a long way. Worst comes to worst, you get your headache, use your mint on your forehead or get rid of your headache.
Yep.
A lot of
Yep.
wonderful hill uses for this stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that ends up being our time for today. Thank you so much, Pam, for coming on and co-hosting with us and showing us about teas.
Time. Yes, and next week, who do we have on deck
Next
for
week
next
we have
week?
Star Ann Ravenhawk. She is going to be our guest hostess. And also, we want to make sure that everybody, you wear your mask, you stay safe, you take the safety precautions, because we want everybody to be healthy and be able to be happy, and so we can get back to a life that we all like to live. So, and the only way to do that is to be able to follow the proper precautions. So,
And we just can't wait to see you back on our show. So we need our audience to wear
yeah.
your mask.
hmm So anyway, everybody continue to make a difference in your life and in others. And Pam and I will be back next week on Sunday at 1 p.m. right here where you found us, okay?
See you next week.